Hi everyone and welcome back to Brian's Horror Movies for Life YouTube channel and back to my 1980s horror movie series where we're taking a look at 1982 horror movies. So the movie we're going to take a look at today is another one that I don't currently have the physical media for. I kind of rather doubt that I'll get it, but we'll get more into that later. But that movie's entitled The Forest, not to be confused with the one from like 2016. But yeah, The Forest from 1982. So let's just go ahead and get into it. So The Forest is a 1982 American supernatural slasher film, directed, written, edited, and produced by Don Jones and starring Gary Kent, Tommy Barrett, and John Battis. The film was shot in Sequoia National Park in California in 1981. So, a middle aged couple are hiking through the remote wilderness in Sierra Nevada when the wife becomes convinced someone is following them. Shortly after, an unseen assailant attacks the husband with a hunting knife, stabbing him to death. The killer then pursues his wife and slits her throat. Sometime later, two Los Angeles couples, Steve and Sharon, and Charlie and Teddy, plan a camping trip to escape the city. Sharon and Teddy depart before their husbands, who plan to meet them later that evening. While hiking toward their planned camping spot, Sharon and Teddy find themselves in a sudden thunderstorm and make a camp at the base of a waterfall. Unbeknownst to them, the ghosts of two young children, John and Jennifer, watch them from a nearby cave. Sharon and Teddy are horrified when an apparition of the children's dead mother appears before them, asking where her children are before disappearing before their eyes. This causes Teddy to panic. Meanwhile, Steve and Charlie, who have been trailing after the women, become lost as night falls. So that's to set up the premise, the beginning of The Forest from 1982. As far as the cast goes, we have Dean Russell as Steve, Tommy Barrett as Sharon, John Battis as Charlie, Ann Wilkinson as Teddy, Gary Kent as John, Jeanette Kelly as Mother, Corky Pigeon as John Jr., and Becky Burke as Jennifer. So yeah, that's to set up the premise and the cast for the 1982 movie, The Forest. This is a weird movie, man. It really is. It's not just a supernatural slasher movie, it's also a cannibal movie. So they were able to combine three subgenres there, which is really interesting. But yeah, it's just a very weird movie, and not a very good one in my opinion. However, I could be talked into a so bad it's good kind of movie, but let's just go ahead and get into it, starting with the pros or the things I like about the movie. And as I said, it manages to uniquely combine cannibalism with ghosts and supernatural elements and a slasher. So it does make this movie a bit unique, especially for the time period. And certainly, if you want to look at this as a slasher movie, the slasher subgenre, it's definitely not like any other one I've seen or that exists during this time. So I give the film credit for that. They didn't just do kind of like the movie Don't Go Into the Woods, or although it is low budget like that, but that was a standard slasher movie. This has a little bit more to it. Like I said, it has a supernatural element to it. It has a slasher element, but it also has a cannibal element to it, cannibalizing or cannibalism. So, yeah, it's definitely unique in that regard. I'm not going to say that all three of those work to the utmost, but they're all there. They have a presence in the movie. It definitely has unintentional humor to it, given the bad acting, the hokey music and score, the bad dialogue from the bad writing, and then the silly character decisions and responses. That, I think, those are the things that I think you could question: is this a so bad it's good kind of movie? And I'd be willing to listen to those arguments that it probably is. For example, there's a flashback scene where John, played by played by Gary Kent, is talking to these two guys in the cave that he lives in. And has a flashback to when he found his wife in bed with this, I think he's like a maintenance guy or a mechanic that's there to fix like their refrigerator or their furnace or something. And he finds them in bed together, and then the guy's like sneaking out saying, "Yeah, well, I got to go back to fixing the refrigerator, fix it," rather than just running and getting the hell out of there, knowing that he's probably going to be confronted in an uncomfortable way, if not a violent way. He goes back to work and does what he was supposed to be there to do. Just things like that make it very weird. Also, kind of piggybacking on that scene when John kind of loses his mind, kills his wife, and then goes after the maintenance guy. It's really funny because the maintenance guy, like, he kind of fends him off for a while at first, and every time he like knocks him down and starts running away, then all of a sudden a pitchfork or something appears in front of him, or a knife or whatever, and the music is kind of in tone with that, and it's just done in a very humorous kind of way. Again, probably unintentionally, I would guess. I don't know, maybe they were intentionally trying to make it funny, but it's just very weird and very so bad it's good, with things like that going on in the movie. I will say the main characters, these two couples here, being older and being married rather than the typical young, dumb teenagers that we get, I do think it provides a little bit more to this movie than you get in a lot of slasher movies. The characters are a little bit more interesting with their married relationships. One of them's on the cusp of a possible divorce, having problems, and I don't know. There's just a little difference there, a little bit more to go on as far as them being like mid to late 20s, maybe even early 30s, married couples, as opposed to like the tropes of the young teenagers. A little bit more character backstory and development within those relationships and those characters. So I did like that in the movie. I thought that offered a difference. And I think the setting of the forest is really cool. As it said, this was actually shot in Sequoia National Park in California, and you can tell. I mean, it's definitely outdoors. There's no stage here or anything. And there's some really great imagery, some really great scenery there, and so I really do like the setting where this movie mostly takes place, being a backwoods camp slasher. I thought it was kind of weird that you don't really run into any animals or anything, or don't even hear any animals, but hey, that's nitpicking a low-budget slasher movie like this. Overall, I think the movie's shot pretty well. I think it looks good. Again, a lot of it having to do with the setting that it's taking place in, but it's fairly well lit compared to other horror movies during this time that I've seen, including one that I just recently reviewed. I think the cinematography is pretty good considering the low budget nature of it, and I think it's a well shot movie. So those are my pros for The Forest from 1982. As far as cons go, there's about 6 or 7 kills in the movie, but they're all pretty forgettable. Nothing that really stands out, nothing overly gory about the kills. Nothing that makes them all that cool or unique. It's just it's slit in the throat, it's stabbing, it's that kind of thing. And you don't really see, some of it's off screen. You see a little bit of blood, but you don't see it for very long. This definitely isn't a movie based on gore. So if you're a gore hound out there looking for a movie that you want to see a lot of blood and guts, then you're not going to be happy with this movie. It's funny, I watched this on YouTube for free. And I don't know, YouTube must have did something to this version, because every time there was a kill or a stabbing or something, the scene faded to black and white. And at first I thought that's what the movie was. And then I watched some other reviews and people that were showing the same scenes that were in color. But at first I thought it was like they were really trying to save money by not even having blood, but having it be in black and white during those scenes, which I really didn't like, and was ready to rip it a new one for that. But as it turns out, I think that was just the YouTube child-friendly version of this movie, because then I went on Plex as well, Plex TV, and watched the opening scene with the couple, the mid-aged couple in the woods, and that was all in color. So I can't rip the movie for that. It is in color. You do see blood. But like I said, the kills aren't very standout. There's not a lot going on there. The music is that like late 70s after school special kind of music. Just very cheesy, very campy. And again, some people like that, and that's a pro for them perhaps. It's part of the so bad it's good, but I didn't really get much out of it. And then the overall score to the movie's pretty meh, uninteresting, and very standard. It's just a very standard score. It doesn't really do anything in terms of the stocking or the the buildup of suspense or tension or anything like that. Also, the acting is bad by the entire cast here, but I think it's more related to the writing and the dialogue than the overall acting ability. I will say that because the writing is really bad in this movie, but the dialogue as well, that's written and delivered, is bad. And to be honest, the movie's kind of boring at certain points throughout the movie. I don't think it's very well paced, especially if you're looking at this from a slasher standpoint. You get 2 kills at the beginning, then a flashback with a couple of kills in the middle, and then you get a couple kills towards the end. But I don't know, just the way the movie's structured, it's not very well paced. And as I said, I was checking my phone more than once watching this movie. It is kind of boring at times. Overall, guys, there's just nothing about this movie that really stands out. Nothing memorable. It's just kind of a very standard and bland, for the most part, supernatural slasher movie with cannibalism. There's also no nudity in this movie, so if you're somebody that's more on the slasher side and you expect to see nudity in an early 80s slasher, you're going to be disappointed. I mean, we don't even get close to nudity in this movie. And then my final con is the killer is ultimately killed pretty fast and pretty easily without much build-up or a fight to it. So that was kind of disappointing and unmemorable as well. But overall, guys, The Forest is okay. That's the best thing I can say about it. It's a watchable early 80s supernatural slasher movie. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It's nothing that I can see myself revisiting all that often. It's nothing that I'm really going to rush out to buy to add to my collection. But it's not the worst slasher movie I've ever seen. Mostly because of the backwoods nature of it and how it was shot and the setting of it. And some of the unintentional, so bad it's good, funny, and humorous moments. But overall, 6 out of 10 for The Forest. Go ahead and comment down below if you guys have seen this movie, what your thoughts are on it. Comment down below. Please like this video, hit the little notification bell, and subscribe to my channel. If you haven't already, it would really help me out for the future content on my channel going forward. But with all that being said, I hope you're enjoying 1982 horror movie reviews as part of my 1980s horror movie series. We still got a long way to go yet for 1982 and overall. But with that being said, thank you for watching, and as always, stay scared. Bye.